Namaste children, I welcome you to this video. I hope everyone is safe at your home. For the past few weeks, you have been receiving videos and learning through these videos. Now for this week's video, we will learn two chapters, one from supplementary reader and another from grammar. The first part will be the third lesson from your supplementary reader, An Alien Hand, That Desert. In last week's video, you learned about nouns and its types. Let's do a quick recap of that. Nouns are naming words for people, place, animals and things. There are two types of nouns. A main category, there are two types of nouns, concrete nouns and abstract nouns. Concrete nouns are exist in physical form. We can see it, touch it, hear it, smell it, so it has a physical form. But the abstract noun does not have a physical form, it is only ideas and concepts. So all the nouns could either be a concrete noun or an abstract noun. And we also learned about proper nouns, which is specific to a person, place or thing, and common nouns, which are common or general to a type, which is shared by many. We also learned about collective nouns like army, crowd, etc., and countable and uncountable nouns. Countable nouns like bananas, trees, those are countable nouns. Uncountable nouns like milk, oil, sugar, those are uncountable nouns. We also learned the plural forms, gender and cases of the noun. Now let's move on to this week's video and learn about the desert. Last year in your 6th standard, you had a lesson called desert animals. In that lesson, you learned about the survival of the animals in the desert, how a camel survives the harsh condition, how a lizard or a mongoose survive that condition. This lesson, the desert, is also similar to that one, but you see about the vegetation and the types of deserts in this lesson. The four major types of deserts are hot and dry desert, semi-arid desert, cold desert and coastal desert. Hot and dry desert, which is general, we always think of as dry place. Semi-arid desert, which has some vegetation, and cold desert. Cold desert is nothing but a place covered full of ice. So Antarctica can be considered as a desert according to this. And coastal desert, where sea and desert combines. When we think of desert, we always think it as a dry place where no vegetation grows. But it is not entirely true, because in the middle of you can find an oasis. When rain falls, the flowers can bloom and it is very spectacular. An oasis is nothing but a small group of plants and trees grows in the middle of a desert. It may grow due to an underground river or due to the occasional rain that falls in the desert. In oasis, we may find the date tree also, date palm tree also. In India, we have a large desert called Thar Desert, which is in the Rajasthan state of India. It is a very dry desert. Some people also live there. India shares a border with Pakistan in this desert. In the hot and dry deserts, the wind will be very strong and it blows the sand and make them as a small mounds. Those mounds are called dunes. Those are called sand dunes. Among the animals live in the desert, the most popular one is camel. We all know that a camel lives in the desert, and the people who live in the desert uses camel as their transportation medium. So how a camel survives in the desert? Camel can drink a lot of water at a time, and it can do without water for many days after. How it is possible for a camel to live without water for a long time? We human beings sweat when the body gets hot in order for us to maintain the body temperature. But camels do not sweat much, so they retain the water longer in their body. So that's why they go on without drinking water for a very long time. And there are other types of small animals live in desert. Rodents, lizards, roadrunners, meerkats, desert tortoise, all the other all these things live in a desert. Small animals go underground in the hot day and they come out at night to eat. So they may not find water, they will get water from the meat that they consume, and the which herbivorous animals will get water from the plants they eat. The plant in desert, the most common plant in desert, the cactus is one of the most common plant in desert. Their roots are so close to the surface and they absorb the moisture from the occasional rain that falls in the desert. So that's how they survive in the desert. The reason for the desert gets so dry is the lack of humidity in the air. Humidity is the amount of water vapor in the right side of the picture. You can see that in a tropical or forest condition, the humidity will be very high. The air moisture will be, so it balances the temperature. But in that region, as you can see in the left side of the picture, the humidity will be low, so it cannot cover or balance the temperature in the desert. So the days will be very hot and the nights will be very cold in the desert. So many people perceive that as a large wasteland and it is useless, but actually it is a very important link in our ecosystem. The Amazon forest, which is South America, gets the fertile from the African Sahara Desert. The sandstorm gets blown over and across the sea to reach the Amazon forest. So the Amazon forest is also known as the lung of the world. It gives oxygen to the entire world. So it is a very important feature of our ecosystem. A desert is a very important place in our ecosystem. So that's the end of this lesson. Let's do a quick summary of the things that we have learned. The desert is a hot and dry place. The vegetation in the desert is known as oasis. Animals survive in many different ways, like the camel, and also small animals survive. Plants also have adapted to these harsh conditions, and the lack of humidity causes the drastic changes in climate. Deserts are not large wastelands. It is very important part of our ecosystem. So these are the things that we learned about the desert. So if you have access to online sources, you can go and find about the different types of deserts and also desert facts you can find out. Let's learn the meaning of some hard words found in this lesson. Vegetation, which means plants and trees found in a particular place. So for example, if we say the vegetation of India, that means the plants and trees grows in that particular country. Mounds is big heaps, or it can also be called a small hill like structure. Survive, able to live through. Humid, containing moisture. Humid air means it contain moisture. Adapt, adapting means change according to the condition. That is what adapting means. And I have given you a detailed question for you to copy in the classwork note. So do copy it in your classwork note. This is a very simple lesson, and those who do not have classwork note, just copy in a rough note and you can write them in the classwork note later. Just pause on this section and